Yo, what's good? It's your boy B-Dell. I'm back with another esoteric synopsis. If you're new to the channel, hit the subscribe button. But today I'm going to be showing you the reality of a zombie apocalypse that's predicated upon quantitative reasoning and scientific analytical data that's connected to prophetic theological context, right? So with all that shit being said, it's time to wake the fuck up. You got to pay attention to the science. You got to pay attention to nature, because the dynamical process of zombification is engineered by biochemical warfare that's propagated by genetically modified organisms and diabolical inoculation shots that creates psychotronic microscopic cryogenic nanotechnology that germinates your biological structure that creates light cold lockdown. So when the sun is at solar maximum due to the radioactivity of the sun, it can put your biological structure in a form of light cold lockdown to where you don't reap the benefits of that solar transmission that's permeating the stratosphere and hitting the ionosphere and then hitting the planet, right? So you also, what you got to understand is that, this process of the Schumann resonance spike, it basically causes a malfunction in your neurological capacity to the point where it puts you in a state of zombification because it depletes the two frontal lobes of the brain. And once the two frontal lobes of the brain is depleted, it activates the hypothalamus gland. The hypothalamus gland is connected to your intensity for hunger and things of that nature, right? So first we're going to start off with a scripture in the Bible. Like I told you, the Bible has nothing to do with, religion. Because the Bible in itself is basically a Freemasonic playbook, right? Based on a heliocentric philosophy. So, like the Prophet Noble Jew Ali said, do not throw away your Bibles because you're gonna have to you have to condemn the European with it, right? So when you go to the Bible, right, it says, plagued by Lord. This is the number thing. No, go to Zechariah 14, 12, and 13. It says, the plague which the Lord will strike all nations fought against Jerusalem. Their flesh will rot while they are still on their feet. Their eyes will rot in their sockets, and their tongues will rot in their mouths. So that basically puts you in alignment to the fact that there's going to be some type of pestilence, and there's going to be a form of desolation on the planet due to the concoction of certain things that's going on with your biological structure when you're talking about the people who control the pharmaceutical industries and the people who control the Food and Drug Administration when it comes to these the things that we eat in the system, right? So now I'm going to show you this video showing the reality about everything that I'm talking about, because visualization is very key when it comes to things like this. So pay attention to this video.
This is a zombie insect. He's not alive, but incredibly. He's not dead either.
No body? Just a head, only one wing, and he's crawling. It's a fucking zombie.
The nervous system of these insects was manipulated by a silent killer. This cicada can't control its own body, which has already been taken over by another being. Although it's still alive, its organism is slowly being devoured. And here is the culprit.
You see it at the bottom right here. You see how the bottom of the abdomen is missing. It's replaced by this powdery cicada infected by the pathogenic fungus Massospora cicadina.
Once the insect is infected by the fungus, it induces it to continue spreading its spores, commanding its body to continue its lineage. Somehow, the cicadas manage to survive this infectious parasite. However, their behavior changes completely. The males begin to behave like females. The males begin to behave like females. The males begin to behave like females, which attracts the males to reproduce, and in the act, they become infected by Massospora cicadina. This makes the phenomenon not only a pandemic, but also a sexually transmitted disease.
Yeah, fam. So were you paying attention to that right there? Yeah. So this zombied out insect right here It's being controlled by a fungus, a parasite from a fungus, from a fucking mushroom, bro. That's something that could happen in nature for real, fam. Why couldn't this transmute over to humans? And did you hear how he said the males start acting like females, bro? Like, come on, family. Whatever's in that fungus is being spread in the air and in the water. These dirty devils took that shit and made some kind of concoction. And look at this, family. These are zombie deer now, family. I mean, come on. This is serious. People are.
You know what I'm saying? It's going to come a point in time. It's going to come a point in time where you're not going to be able to eat anything, to where you're going to have to perform ultra-fast internal conversion, to where you're going to have to eat through the solar panels of your skin, to where you're going to have to reap the benefits and transmute yourself over from being a vegetarian, a herbivore, a carnivore. You have to transmute over to a breatharian, to where, because everything is going to be so compromised to the point where you're not going to be able to eat anything. And the only thing that you will have to eat is the intrinsic solar radiation that's hitting the planet, right? So now, get this screen share back going. So now we're going to go back on. I showed you the reality. So now, like I was telling you, once the two frontal lobes of the brain is depleted, that activates the hypothalamus gland. The hypothalamus gland is basically regulates your functions for hunger, and it basically regulates your thirst for blood, and it regulates your body temperature, right? So the two frontal lobes is also connected to the motor cortex gland of the brain, right? So when you see like zombies and stuff like that, the zombies, they have that chronic movement. That's because it's due to the malfunction in the neurotransmitters, and the neurotransmitters connected to the primary motor cortex gland. So that's why they don't have any type of coordination and things of that nature, because that gamma radiation that's hitting the planet right now, that frequency is going to throw off your neurological capacity. It's going to deplete the two frontal lobes. So now I'm going to show you this video of people having seizures over in China and things like that, because, you know, this gamma radiation can compromise and put your brain in a state of subjugation to where you cannot ascend. So it's either going to be two things. Your ass is either going to ascend or you're going to descend. Either you're going to activate or you're going to deactivate. So when the grid goes down, the electrical grid node of the planet goes down, your motherfucking ass is going to go down too, because you have that nanotechnology that connects you to their system. So when the grid goes down, your whole neurological capacity goes down as well. So it's either to the point where you're going to die or you're going to transmute over into in a state of zombification. So now I'm going to show you a video.
People are falling out fainting suddenly and having seizures in China due to extreme heat temperatures, and the media is not speaking about it. The temperature is too hot for them.
Let me interject for a second. If you pay attention to the video, you can see that the vast majority of the people have COVID mask on, and that COVID mask disconnects you from the ethers, the oxygen, because that's where you get your intelligence from. Real intelligence doesn't come from mankind. It doesn't come from books. It doesn't come from anything, because the intelligence is already in you. And the ethers, which leaves an energetic imprint on the universe, when you take your when you take away your ability to connect with the ethers by covering your mouth to where you cannot reap the benefits of that oxygen that's, you know, on the planet, you cannot activate your higher neurological senses, right? So, you know, a lot of times, like, you know, these brain malfunctions, these seizures is, you know, you disconnecting yourself from nature, you disconnecting yourself from the intrinsic source, right? So I'm gonna keep going with the video.
People are
You know what I'm saying? You cannot make this up. That gamma radiation that's hitting the planet is fucking a lot of people up. It's fucking up their whole neurological chemistry. So now, hold on for a second. You know what I'm saying? It's throwing off a lot of people's neurological capacity. You see what I'm saying? So now I'm going to show you a few documents, because what I'm saying, what I'm telling you is, you know, these the spike in the Schumann resonance, right? Now this is a emulation of the spike of a Schumann resonance in 2023 that is propagated by NASA. This is a government website. So it tells you, you know what I'm saying, like the Schumann resonance is basically the heartbeat and the frequency of the planet. So once the intensity and the vibration of the planet increases, if you're not connected to the planet, like I said, these transmutations of zombieism, these transmutations of you falling out due to the gamma radiation hitting the planet, is going to intensify, right? So I had to show you this. So now I'm going to show you, where is it at? There's an article that CNN that put out talking about the Pentagon put out a document that lays out a plan against zombies, and this came out in May 16, 2014. So if you know anything about the Cabal is basically the sacred 10, say 10. They always do things 10 years ahead of time. They tell you 10 years. So that is basically in alignment to everything that's going on right now on the planet, right? So, because this document came out in 2014, hell, we almost in 2024. It's about to be 2023, according to the Gregorian calendar, right? So now, like I told you in one of my videos, you know, the CIA has an office in Hollywood, and Hollywood has an office in the CIA. There's a movie that you need to watch called Cabin in the Woods. This movie came out. This movie had came out in 2011. And the basis of the movie is predicated upon the fact that you have these college kids. They go to a remote forest, and a remote forest is basically manipulated and compromised by people who are puppeteers. The puppeteers is what controls the simulation in the woods, right? So they go to these underground facilities, and the puppeteers, they control the underground facility, and the facility has these, you know, an amalgamation of different zombies and monsters and things of that nature, and they puppeteer everything on the surface of the planet to where everybody's in a state of pandemonium, right? Because it's a part of their simulation. And I kid you not, this is one of the reasons why Dr. York, you know, for the illustrations for the books and the publications that he was putting out at the time, this is the reason why he was put in jail. I cannot make this up. You know what I'm saying? Like, he was doing the work, you know, future of everything that's happening on the planet right now. He was looking into the future. He was tapped into the source for real. And I'm gonna show you something here. This is crazy because I got this book called The Man from Planet Risk, right? You go to the book. First, look at this picture right here. This is from the movie Cabin in the Woods that came out in 2011. These are the different chambers that they had the monsters in. If anybody's seen this movie, you know what I'm talking about. They had them in sectioned off in different chambers. And then when the puppeteers, the people who control the simulation, when they hit a button, a monster will come up from the surface and it would basically cause all type of desolation in that area or that in that geographical landmass. So now when you go to Dr. York's illustration of his book, he wrote this book in the 80s. When you go to this, when you go to his book called Shambhala and Argartha, The Cities Within, it tells you there's, you know, they got level 5 of different extraterrestrials and species and zombies and many different concoctions of genetically modified, you know, creatures. So like I told you, look at that, look at the last picture and then look at this picture right here. You see what I'm saying? It's a direct emulation of everything that was in the movie. So he was not making this up. People was calling, you know, Dr. York, he's a pedophile, he's crazy and things of that nature. He was not crazy. He's in prison for putting out the level of information because the level of information he was putting out is real. So look at, like I said, this is direct, the movie is a direct emulation of everything that Dr. York put in his book. So now when you go to Dr. York's book, it tells you that it's a privately called chamber called the Night Hall, and it holds genetic labs where experiments are done on fish, seals, birds, you know, an amalgamation of animals, and they take them away from their original form. And they are multi-armed, multi-leg humans in several cages and vats. There are also humanoid bat-like creatures as tall as 7 feet. The extraterrestrials have taught the humans a lot about genetics, things about, you know, useful and dangerous. And there are many different levels that go within this construct of technological instruments, right? So this is where you get your concept of, you know, the zombies. What's that damn thing called? Bigfoot, Mothman, the New Jersey Devil. All these concoctions is done in the lab, and they have them in underground bases, right? So with all that being said, this is a real thing. You know what I'm saying? So that's how you know they're trying to prepare us for something. But by the way, if you can, screenshot this right here and look at these, you know, 2 images side to side. This is a reality that's going on, right? So now, like I told you, the spike of the Schumann resonance when the sun is at solar maximum, that is basically going to intensify the solar transmission that's hitting the planet. So if you're not mentally, spiritually, physically in alignment to the planet, if your vibration is not matched up with the spike of the Schumann resonance in the future, you're going to be discarded off the planet, especially if you have these concoctions of genetically modified organisms inside your biological structure that connects you to the grid, right? Because like I told you, there's a video out, there's a commercial where a guy, he goes outside and everybody just drops dead at the same time. You see what I'm saying? And they drop dead, dude. That's because they've been compromised from a technological standpoint. So if you have technology inside your body, when the grid goes down, you're going to fucking go down with it as well. So with all that shit being said, get this video out there. This is a very important video because, you know, it's an alignment to everything that's going on right now. The process of zombification, that's a real thing. And it's due to the compromisation of genetically modified foods and due to diabolical inoculation shots that they propagate through their pharmaceutical industries, right? So with all that being said, pay attention to the science, pay attention to nature. And if you can, deviate from Eurocentric and Westernized culture because all these things are being compromised because unnatural things is only conducive to an unnatural system. Thanks for watching.